You're live. Okay. Hello, welcome everyone. Namaskars to everybody here and everybody in video land and YouTube, either live on this Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific time or on this recording that you may be seeing. We're so happy to have you here, and we're so happy to celebrate being together. So let's start with a chant as we always do. Om Sato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityarma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to mortality. Peace, peace, peace. Okay. Well, it's kind of an interesting thing how I chose this title for today. Probably not surprising if you look and see what's going on in the world. But first, I want to mention, how these talks kind of evolve for me, anyways. Is I have no idea what's going to happen a lot of times. I prepare, something will come to me, and then I ask Ma to take care of it and say whatever she wants to say. And I'm listening as much as you guys are when I'm talking, because sometimes, she'll say stuff that is really an answer to a question I have. So this title that we have, which is Stress, the World, and Vedanta, is really kind of appropriate for what's going on now for me personally, and I think for most people in the world, unless they're a billionaire and in control of everything. Yeah, I think a lot of people are extremely stressed, and they've been for a while. I think, since COVID, people have PTSD and they may not even realize it. And their stress levels are from normal is here, and this is kind of where they are. This is maybe high, but this is their new normal. And you always have this edge. You're always wondering what's going on. And then you see something that comes on news, or you read something, or you hear something, and it's like this tips you up even more when you wouldn't normally react so much, I think. So I just thought we would take the Vedantic teachings and some of the things that the great ones have said about the subject, and just dive in and see what Ma says, what we can do to help ourselves and those we love around us, and so even those we don't love around us, or just people in general, right? There shouldn't be any others. I think this is really important, there's the idea that, okay, I'm just going to care about myself. Well, that's really selfish. Okay, well, then I'll care about my family. Oh, how big of you, Now, maybe I'll care about my neighborhood, Oh, that's not good enough. Okay, well, then I'll care about my state, Keep on prying this caring and expansion of consciousness. And then I'll just care. And the big one, of course, is I'll care about my country. Just that. And the borders, who cares about anything else? Well, does that work practically? Is there one country anymore? Is there one country that can stand on its own? No, I don't think so. Economically, in any ways whatsoever. So, I think the world has, we talked about the yugas, and this is an ascending cycle, even though it doesn't seem so. That, there is more and more understanding, but sometimes when there's a greater progress, there's a backlash. There's a time of backlash. We just had our first African-American president. We had a female vice president, A lot of these things people aren't really used to, and they, feel like certain people feel like they're losing control. And so there's all this thing that goes on, but there is a subtle underlying current of control, of evolution that goes on. And there is a reason for all of this stuff. And I'm a firm believer that, it may not be pretty always, but think about what we went through during World War II and all the atrocities and all that horribleness. Germany was taken over. You can see now it's possible that, authoritarianism can take over a country, even an educated country like Germany at that time, by fear, by being defeated in World War I and being totally in fear. Stoking fear is the easiest way to take over a country. So what's really important is that, I think what's really amazing is that we have the seed of spiritual devotees of many different forms and faiths that are spread out, not only in America, but all over the world that we didn't have before. You know, these teachings of enlightenment coming from India have influenced a lot of positive, growth-oriented people, people that want to grow, people that want to help, people that want to be truly spiritual and brothers and sisters and reaching out. And I think that's the secret sauce there. That underlying all of these things, there's groups like this and larger groups and huge organizations and that truly are programmed to create spiritual thought and spiritual understanding and harmony between people. And they're in all countries. And so I think that's a different thing than what you had necessarily in World War II. You had some, but now it's grown quite a bit more. And people have mixed different cultures all over the place now, mixed in different countries. That this is the saving grace. So sometimes the old authoritarian playbook may not work as well because you don't have some homogeneous group like Germany, where it was just one pure race that was quote unquote, and all of a sudden it was taken over. And America is kind of a pretty big melting pot. So it's interesting. So let's go back to the stress part. And I thought this was really neat when I came across this. And a lot of these things come to me on Facebook. I never read it, of course, but sometimes I have Swamiji and Thakur and all their groups on Facebook. They come up and they have these beautiful things that just pop out of nowhere. And this was something that really hit me because I really thought about this. And this is Swami Vivekananda from the Great Inspiration. And I'll just read this. In the last days of the Master's life, the disciples were brought up to a pitch of agony and ecstasy. They were driven mad, as it were, and literally threw themselves with violence into meditation, sadhanas, and ascetic practices in order to drown their great grief and their terrible anxiety in spiritual consciousness. When the Master suffered most, they too suffered intensely. Was the Master better? They felt better too. Noreen often went wild. This is Swami Vivekananda before he became a monk. His name. Some of you guys know Narendra, but Noreen is the name it here. Often went wild with despair to think that he could do nothing to alleviate the physical pain of his loved one. One night, his emotional storm reached a maddening point. He took a vow to find if there was a being to come to the aid of his suffering master. Toward evening, he commenced to circumambulate the house, repeating the name of the Lord, Rama, Rama, in a high, excited voice. His outward consciousness had apparently deserted him, and he was full of ascetic fire. Toward the latter part of the night, the Master heard his voice, as it became louder and louder in the silent hours. He said to no one near him, "Go, bring Noreen here." But Noreen could not be stopped. For some time he continued until he was practically forced into the Master's presence. Sri Ramakrishna said to him lovingly, "My Noreen, it will avail you nothing to do this." He knew that his time was coming near and that the voice was calling him. He added, 12 years of my life were spent as you have been spending this night, and they have gone by like a whirlwind. What can you do, my boy, with not one night's effort? I was just thinking of Swami Vivekananda and all the experiences he went through before that time in ecstasy and nirvikalpa samadhi and all these things he had experienced, knowing that he wasn't the body, knowing that there was an underlying consciousness of all of us. And yet he went through that horrible agony of the thought of losing his master in the physical body. And of course, the stress levels must have been off the charts. And of course, all of the devotees at that time, if you really think about it, what they must have been going through was horrible. To see your master going through one of the worst diseases there are, and of course, back then they didn't even have treatments or pain medication put on him. Of course, master wasn't taking it. Just to see the throat just being eaten up and not being able to eat and not being able to swallow and having hemorrhaging blood coming out of your mouth, which you must observe in this beloved, beautiful being that you've given your heart and soul to physically. So there's probably not much more of a physical stress level thing that can be done. So, if Swami Vivekananda could go through that, uh, we have to be a little bit kind with ourselves on um, how we're seeing ourselves with stress, seeing ourselves having all this stuff going on. And, I was really thinking about what could really help somebody when they're in that level of stress. If all of the teaching of Swami Vivekananda up to that point, spending years with Sri Ramakrishna physically, having ecstasy, being in samadhi and all these things, if that couldn't stop him from, getting there, what could help us to, when we get to that state, what are our options? Obviously we can't necessarily meditate and go into samadhi, right? Maybe some of you guys can, or some of you guys can, I don't know. But, I think there's basically two things that truly can help, and we'll read about some of these. But they break down into two different categories. The first one is faith. Faith can give relief, depending on how strong the faith is. Faith can give a sense of, of hope. And, faith can move mountains, as they say, and all that. But sometimes, your faith can be not enough because the grief is so strong, or the stress is so strong, or the worry is so strong that it overpowers even faith, like Swami Vivekananda, of course. The other one is realization. And realization allows us to be able to formally overcome the suffering and the stress. So what does that mean? And I try to get down to this. This is kind of interesting, right? Because most religious beliefs and systems rely on faith, because that's what they're all built on. There's a belief system, something to believe that, and sometimes it works. People will, with faith, walk through fire or face bullets or do incredible things, and sometimes it works. It can really be uplifting, and that certainly is the grace that comes in for, I think, depending on where we are spiritually and in our own understanding. Sometimes that's all there is, right? Sometimes there's just faith. Sometimes there's only belief that there's something more, some reason behind this. There's something that's helping us, and I think that can really be wonderful. What it seems to me, though, that for me, and it's wonderful to have these ideas, but I think that sometimes the Vedantic teaching can really give you tools to look at what is causing the stress. What is at the root of this? And understanding it. And with understanding, of course, then there is release, there's healing. This is kind of interesting. This is what Sri Krishna said, and this is really beautiful. Sri Krishna would say, musk forms in the navel of the deer, being fascinated with its smell. The deer runs hither and thither. They do not know where the fragrance comes from. Likewise, God resides in the human body, and man does not know it. Therefore, he searches everywhere for bliss, not knowing that it is already in him. God alone is real, all else is false. And this is Sri Sarda Devi, counting that beautiful story that Master used to talk about. So, and we'll read some more different things that are stated on that. And this is basically the whole idea of Vedanta. It's the whole crux. And that is that we are layers of consciousness, and we don't know who we are. And we are looking outside of ourselves for security, for surety, for love, for assurance, all of these things that we feel we need. That's food, love, money, all these things, right? We're always looking outside of ourselves for what they think they'll give us. And that leaves us open to receiving them or not receiving them. It opens us up to incredible desire for all of these things. And so the desire is always what the great ones tell us the world controls us by. Now, do we need things? 100%, right? We need to eat. We need our loved one protected. We need a house. I mean, or homeless people are out there. All these things Those things are certainly basic needs. But what I think Vedanta allows us to really do is to start to see that we can go towards this idea of the more we actually can connect with that and expect that what we need coming from inside, the less we will accept and expect from outside. And I think it's by degrees. It's not all of a sudden you're getting everything. So more and more and more, like I found in myself, my life has changed really dramatically since I moved in here. Of course, it's the pinnacle of that. But my life isn't like it was before at all. I used to have all these different things, and all my life was filled with all kind of distractions. And of course, I'm still working, but I work and I'm here. That's pretty much it. I don't do anything else. And it was a big, adjustment to be able to get rid of all of that stuff that used to occupy my time and my mind and all the things that I thought I needed, and distractions and, blowing off steam, doing this, that, and the other thing, to really just finding that, you're here just worshiping, or you're here meditating, or you're here observing your awareness for a long periods of time. And what really ends up happening, I think, is that you start to see that it's enough. Just this feeling of joy that comes over you for no reasons whatsoever, no external reason whatsoever, really becomes more and more that it's enough, and that it's really what you need. And there really isn't so much. And then when things start to go crazy a little bit, it's less dramatic, less controlling of you. And I think this is the Vedantic secret, is that more and more and more you realize what is awareness, what is consciousness, what are you? And that is something real. It's not just a faith thing. There's actually experiences, I think, with these meditations we do, with these experiences we have. Sri Ramana said that, and Swami Vivekananda said, the idea why we're studying Vedanta, the idea that we are this self, that we are that awareness, and that everything else is just passing show, passing drama, passing lila. It prepares you mentally for that to be your reality, your accepted and understood reality. And eventually, and that is what you are. They tell us this is already true, whether we accept it or not. But there is a process of being able to be open to it. And so I think it's really wonderful, that when all the world can be running around with complete, utter chaos, there's a way of sanity. There's a way of sanity. And this is, and even in the teachings and practices of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, this same idea of, yes, you can even bring it into the world. Nonviolence, non-cooperation with things that are not right? You don't cooperate with it, you don't fight it, but you can not cooperate with it, and you stay in that sense of self. And I think this is really, really amazing with Vedanta. And it's the way out. It's the way out, at least the way I could see it, because my faith comes and goes, but this is something I can start to dig into when I need it, when it's worse. So Sri Ramakrishna, this is beautiful too. Sri Ramakrishna, perfect teacher that he was, never laid down identical disciplines for disciples of diverse temperaments. He did not insist that Narendra should follow strict rules about food, nor did he ask him to believe in the reality of gods and goddesses of the Hindu mythology. It was not necessary for Narendra's philosophic mind to pursue the disciplines of concrete worship, but a strict eye was kept on Narendra's practice of discrimination, detachment, self-control, and regular meditation. Sri Ramakrishna enjoyed Narendra's vehement arguments with other devotees regarding the dogmas and creeds of religion, and was delighted to hear him tear to shreds their unquestioning beliefs. But when, as often happened, Narendra teased the gentle Rakal for showing reverence to Divine Mother Kali, the master would not tolerate these attempts to unsettle the brother's faith in the forms of God. So, this is kind of Swami Vivekananda's ideal too, is that I think that's why he saw, and what he talked about was not necessarily a faith-based religion that he created himself. He never really preached Ramakrishna. His brother disciples were actually very upset about that when he was here. But he was bringing something much deeper. And I think he realized there's already faith-based religions. There's already, right? So we love Sri Ramakrishna, but okay, what is it that's different now? What makes this different than all those other religions? Remember, we talked about the ones that started in Kali Yuga, most of what we have. So I think this is really something important to give us something. And this is true too. I think that indulging in philosophical discussions, some people feel they have become very great. Perhaps they have studied a little Vedanta. When you have attained true knowledge, your I-ness disappears. In other words, you attain samadhi. You become one with him and lose all your egotism. Without attaining samadhi, you do not develop true knowledge. You become one with him on attaining samadhi. Then your ego vanishes. Do you know what it's like? Just as at midday, when the sun shines directly overhead, a man does not see his shadow anywhere around him. When you have gained true knowledge, attained samadhi, the shadow of egotism disappears. If, after attaining true knowledge, one's I-ness persists, know it to be either the eye of knowledge or the eye of devotion, or the eye of a servant. This is not the eye of ignorance. Besides, there are two paths, one of jnana and the other of bhakti. Go by either path and you will reach him. The jnani looks at him in one way, the devotee in another. The God in the jnani is all splendor, while that of the devotee is all sweetness. And that's from Sri Ramakrishna. The Katha So, so let's, before we read the other things, we'll do some chanting and bring ourselves into this, the heart center. I think one of the things that we talked about is that we are generally caught up in our lower three chakras. This is our existence, our survival, our expression, or our procreation, or this kind of stuff, trying to create things, or our emotions. And, this is where we continually bowl over and over and over. And so thoughts come, and thoughts come, and thoughts come. And Thakur has stated that once you get to that heart center, then it's all light, and you start to feel like love and that bliss, that first sense. So chanting, of course, is one way to do it. And meditation, bringing that energy into the heart, eventually becomes real to us. So the more we can use that tool to get to us to that state beyond all of this craziness is really helpful. So we'll chant a little bit. First, let's chant to Divine Mother, and then we'll just do a quick Ram, and then we'll let you do some chanting to Ram or to Ma. So we'll just we'll chant to all the Devis. Jai Ma Durga is the way it's written in the book, but it's just Om Aim. Jai Ma. We'll start with Jai Ma Kali, Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. Jai Mahalakshmi, Jai Mahalakshmi, Jai Mahalakshmi, Saraswati, 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 Saraswati. Jai Masaya, Jai Masaya, Okay. Now in honor of Ramnam, we'll do Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna. Okay. Would you like to sing one or two or whatever?
One is better. It's a very long song.
Okay. Please.
There is another song I'm learning which I'll do next time, which is very interesting because it talks about the world being a madhouse. And they're only filled with mad people, and this is all mother's doing, and mother is sitting on the sideline looking at it and laughing away.
Okay.
It's
Cheers,
actually
cheers.
pretty nice song. But next time,
Okay.
I'm still learning it.
No worries.
Okay, you're going to sing, right?
तुम्ही ऑटोमेटेड स्केल लागेली का
Scale আমি এখানে লাগাচ্ছি।
ও
আমার সেল ফোনে।
তাহলে আমি এখান থেকে হয়তো শুনতে পাবো না জানি না। শুনতে পাচ্ছি Okay, you are out of power.
You want to sit there?
Well, bring the chair closer. চেয়ারটা কাছে এসে বলতে Right. একবার বিরাজ তোমারি আমরাশনে একবার বিরাজ তোমারি আমরাশনে তোমার ভুবন ভরা রূপ দিয়ে একবার দেখে তুমি নয়নে কামনাশনে একবার বিরাজ হৃদি কমলাশনে তুমি অন্নপূর্ণা শ্মশানে ক্ষমা কৈলাসে উমা তুমি বৈকুণ্ঠে রমা তুমি অন্নপূর্ণা শ্মশানে ক্ষমা কৈলাসেতে উমা তুমি বৈকুণ্ঠে রমা ধরো বিরিঞ্চি শিব বিষ্ণু সৃজনময় পাবনে কমলাশনে একবার বিরাজ তোমারি কমলাশনে তুমি পুরুষ কি নারী বুঝিতে নারী চয়না বুঝায় নারী বুঝিতে পারি তুমি পুরুষ কি নারী বুঝিতে নারী চয়না বুঝাবে তারি বুঝিতে পারি আমি আধার আধা আধা কৃষ্ণ সাজিয়ে বৃন্দাবনে আধার আধা আধা কৃষ্ণ সাজিয়ে বৃন্দাবনে কমলাশনে একবার বিরাজ তোমারি কমলাশনে তুমি জগতে মাতা যোগী জনমাতা জানে তোমায় মা বলে ডাকিলে ডাকি বলে না ভক্ত জানে মা অন্য কিছুই চাই না বিনা চরণ দুঃখ দৈন্য হারিনি চৈতন্য কারিনি অন্য কিছু চাই না বিনা চরণ আমি প্রেম সাজাতে সাজাবো পথ বাসনা মনে মনে প্রেম সাজাতে সাজাবো পথ বাসনা মনে মনে কামনা শালী একবার বিরাজ হৃদি কমলা শালী পরিব্রাজ ভিখারি চাঁদ মুনিতে করি মধুর হাসি মাথা মুখানি দেবী পরিব্রাজ ভিখারি চাঁদ মুনিতে করি মধুর মাথা মাথা বসে মায়ের কোলে মামা বলে মাখিব বাচ্চায় বসে মামা বলে মাখিব জগৎ কমলাশালী একবার বিরাজ হৃদি কমলাশালী তোমার দুগন ভরা রুটি একা দেখি দুগন ভরা রুটি একা দেখি কমলাশালী একবার বিরাজ হৃদি কমলাশালী Let me read the meaning of it.
Sure.
So it says, for once, O mother, dwell in the lotus seat of my heart. For once, let me see your beauty which fills the world. You are Mother Annapurna. You are the cremation ground. You are Shama, Uma in Kailash, and Rama in Vaikuntha. You take the form of Virinchi, Shiva, or Vishnu. As you create, destroy, or sustain. Are you a man or are you a woman? I don't know. Unless you explain this to me, how do I understand? In Vrindavan, you dressed yourself partly as Radha, partly as Krishna. You are the mother of the universe, devoted to those who are established in yoga. To the ones who are devoted to you, you are the giver of grace. I have heard if one calls upon you as mother, you take him into your lap. You remove poverty and suffering. You grant spiritual awakening. I don't want anything but your 2 feet. I will decorate your feet. Hold on, let's stop that. I will decorate your feet with the lotus of my love. I am a wandering beggar, but the burning desire is in my mind is to see my mother's sweet smiling face, to sit my mother's lap calling mother, mother, lost in ecstasy.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful song, isn't it?
Wonderful. Okay, so we continue on with our idea of stress the world. And
Yeah, just call mother and sit in her lap. That's it.
That can be
That's
faith.
it.
Faith can be really powerful.
That is it.
That can be very powerful for sure. And the deeper you go into that heart area, then it's actually real. This is a book that I really love. I'm sure you guys have read it. This is Swami Chidananda's How to Live with God in the company of Sri Ramakrishna. And it's a really, really neat book. Of course, we were lucky to have Swami Chidananda living part-time. Most of the time he's where is he? I don't know. Company. But he's part-time in Laguna Beach area. He's got a little apartment there. So we're blessed to have him access. He's easy of access to us. So this is kind of neat. Let's see here. Where was it that I said? There we were. Okay. Let's see here. So late in the evening, the master would chant this mantra, Brahma Maya Jaiva Jagat, Brahma Maya soul world. One can attain perfection or see God by repeating this mantra, the master said. This is a mysterious mantra. Oops, you know what? I think I made it wrong. I'm sorry. I started wrongly. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this is what I was reading. That seemed to make a lot of sense. So, if one analyzes the human mind, one will find that it has many layers. One may transcend gross desires, but there will still be subtle desires in the mind. Transcending the most subtle desires, one finally becomes devoid of desires and realizes God. So we were talking about the idea of desires being the trap. There is even a competition among the desires. Suppose one subsides the desire for sex by the desire for money, and then the desire for sex and money by the desire for the name and fame. It is really difficult to get rid of this mesh of desires, the master used to say. One cannot realize God so long as one has a little desire. Therefore, try to fulfill the small harmless desires, but get rid of the big harmful desires through discrimination. The mind is really mischievous. It is hard to control. Peace and happiness depend solely on attaining a calm state of mind. Whereas we struggle hard trying to cut through the meshes of Maya and to raise the mind upward. The master would cultivate some small desires so that he could keep his mind on the earthly plane to help the devotees. The natural tendency of his mind was to merge with the non-dual reality that remained there. Desires are mysterious, and they love to play with human minds. The master unveiled the mystery of desire through spiritual experiences. He said the minds of ordinary people dwell in the subtle nerve centers near the anus, sex organ, and the navel. When a person's mind is purified to some extent, it sometimes rises to the heart center, has a vision of light or of luminous divine forms, and experiences a little bliss. When the mind is accustomed to remaining in this place, it ascends to the throat center. At that time, it is almost impossible for that person to talk about anything other than the ideal on which the mind has been concentrated. Although it has reached this height, the mind can descend to the lower centers and completely forget that high ideal. But if through steadfast devotion, the mind rises transcends the throat center and reaches the center between the eyebrows, that person experiences supreme bliss in samadhi. Compared to that state, the enjoyment of sense objects in the lower center seems insipid. There is no fear of falling from this center. There is, here the light of the Supreme Self is visible behind a thin veil. Although a little separation from the Supreme Self remains, one gets clearer glimpses of non-dual knowledge when the mind reaches that point. No sooner does the mind pass beyond this center than the knowledge of difference and sameness vanishes, and that person becomes established in complete non-dual knowledge. My mind descends to the throat center so that I can teach all of you, but it is a struggle to keep it down there, because I dwell continually in the realm of complete non-dual knowledge, because I dwelt continually in the realm of complete non-dual knowledge for a period of 6 months. My mind is naturally inclined in that direction. It is difficult for me to bring my mind down without nurturing some little desires, such as I shall do this, I shall eat that, I shall see this person, I shall go there, and so on. And if my mind does not come down, it is impossible for me to perform functions, such as talking, moving, eating, protecting the body, and the like. So when I merge into samadhi, I entertain a small desire, such as I shall smoke tobacco, or I shall go there. But even then, I have to express that desire again and again, so my mind will come down a little. Well, but I think it's really interesting. So the idea there, and after this we'll do a little bit of meditation so we can start down that road, right? But the idea is that the more and more that in order to really get rid of desires, one needs to replace them with something. So, this idea of replacing one desire with the other. But what finally starts fulfilling the desires is that attainment of those experiences of bliss and ecstasy. And then all of the other desires seem insipid. Otherwise, you kind of exchange one for the other, for the other, for the other. And the only way out is really, going into that. The heart center is really where Sri Ramakrishna expresses over and over again that is the very beginning where you start to feel that bliss that we crave. But we can fall down from that, even if we get to the throat center, which is a much higher experience of that. We can fall down from those levels. So constantly bringing that attention inward and realizing, and just discrimination is so important. Just see what it is that we're so freaked, what we want. Like if we're afraid or we're stressed about, really reason about what it is that's causing that. So if it's the world or the economy, that's not really what's causing it. It's what it's going to affect you, right? How is it going to affect your house or your economy or your money or maybe your loved ones or this or that or the other thing? Some things we can really see that we can do without. And if they're here, fine. If they're not here, fine. And I think that's really what seems to be the best way to see the world. Because I don't see that to become a complete renunciant is so easy for most of us. These beautiful beings that just, you go to India or you go to the ashrams and you see that they truly don't care about anything. They're totally absorbed in their internal self. But what we can't do is have no attachment to these things and just enjoy them for what they are, a dream. And when they're with you, enjoy it. But when it's gone, it shouldn't make a difference in the mind. I think that's the middle ground we can actually strive to attain. So, having all this is wonderful and beautiful, but if it's taken away, it's okay. The mind can stay the same. The mind can stay steady and realizing that, you will always attract what you need. It always will come and go. I remember having a beautiful house on the ocean overlooking a beautiful cliff in San Diego. And when I moved out, I realized it was a real test. Okay, I really had to say, okay, it was my choice to leave. It wasn't like it was forced to leave. But I knew that always, no matter what amazing things were given to me, I always had to be willing to walk away from them and test myself to see if I was really attached to it. And it's really hard. I mean, it's not easy. But I think as you get some experience with it, then you can truly, I don't know if you can really enjoy something if you're attached to it, if you're addicted to it, because you're always afraid of losing it. There's always a little bit of tension there. When you really can enjoy something is when you have no desire for it sincerely. You can truly enjoy it. When it's taken away, it's totally fine. knowing that it's just always this cycle of things that come and go in this crazy world. And we're here to just enjoy. But at the other end of the day, too, I think, I always try to focus my mind that, okay, I'm here for some reason. If I don't have a desire for pleasure, then what is it that I can do? How can I add to this world? How can I benefit the world? First of all, in our thoughts. Our thoughts have tremendously strong power. So Swami Vivekananda used to say that these beings that are in deep bliss do more benefit for the world than those who are trying to save the world through all these good works and deeds, because their thoughts are so pure and they're beaming out into the world and affecting all the people unconsciously. But doing random thoughts, random kindnesses as well. Always be that person. There's fear, division that are created for purposes. If we can be the ones who overcome those fear and see the love and see other people and just see that they're parts of our own self, that they're suffering, loving human beings, and they're going through all of these experiences just like we do, and that we can have some compassion and empathy, and then finally love for all of these people. That can be the biggest thing that we can create and add to this world. And I think if we can add that, it makes such a feeling of fulfillment, that there's some reason for your existence. There's some reason for us to be here, not just to take care of our family and friends and all that, but we've left behind a legacy of this loving kindness. And there's no attachment. So practicing death is actually kind of the biggest way of being able to see what's going on in your attachment levels. If you have the body, it's wonderful. You can experience all these things and it can give. But if the body's stopped for any moment, it's Jaima, And that, when you can truly say that from the depths of your heart, then nothing can really attack you or have anything to do with you. Not for very long. You can catch yourself quickly, and then eventually, I don't think you even have this effect at all. It just goes from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and you're just enjoying. So that's why we're so lucky to have these kind of things.
It's experience. That's it. Take it as experience.
That's exactly right. But I find too, and we'll do this now, meditation is really helpful. And having experience instead of just intellectual things like faith is the next level. Experiences where you can go into that state of the heart. And we did this Soham meditation. We'll do it again now. And that really helps us to go from this active mind going outward and trying to grab onto something that's solid, right? It's not going to happen. There's nothing there. It's always going to be frustrating. But then just to have the full energy going within, up that spine, into the heart, and just be contented. That's enough. That's enough. The body disappears while I'm in this state, so be it. So this Soham is really powerful. And the more you practice it, the more you can really get into that state. You go into, remember, it's Dhyana, you have Pratyahara, which is the first state where you really are beyond the body. Your senses aren't affecting you. Your emotions aren't affecting you. You're beyond the body's kind of numbed out a little bit, where you don't even have a sense of really feeling the body. Pratyahara is very powerful, and it's just the beginning of the stages of these things, but it's so beneficial. And that stillness you feel, as you felt in the meditation you did just for a short time, Soham is a very powerful chant, and it has vibratory effect on your breathing and your mind, and it settles it down to one point. And in that one point is this key, being able to turn it within. So I think this is really key. So whenever we get kind of crazy, we can use this experience, this Soham, to get to that point of stillness and peace. And then if you want to do your mantra or whatever experience, spiritual practices, you'll do it with your whole soul, your whole heart, and you won't be kind of freaked out. So I love this practice. It's really, really helpful. And if you just do it in your own time too and practice it a little bit, I think it helps so much. It gives you a key that you can turn the switch off anytime. So we'll do this again. Remember, it's this asana is important. Yama niyama, we won't talk about that. But if you sit straight on the chair with your back away from the back of the chair, because this Thakur was saying, the energy's trapped down here. We want it to be able to go up the spine. And in order for that, there's subtle currents. These aren't like very not like electricity, it's subtle currents. And so having the spine straight is really important. So away from the back of the chair, chest out, chin parallel, hands kind of upturned somewhere on your thigh probably, or you can put them in your lap, however you feel comfortable. But however the body's stable. And then what's really important is to just raise the gaze a little bit to the point between the eyebrows, because that brings the energy up the spine by focusing at that ajna center. Like Thakur said, once you get to that point, then it doesn't go back down again, which is cool. We'll get there one of these days, right? But in the meantime, we can focus on that center. Because he said that's where you feel the samadhi, that's where you see the samadhi, that's the first experience of it, is in that center. Don't let the eyes go downward, because that goes into subconsciousness and you'll fall asleep. If your eyes are forward, you're going to have your thinking mind engaged. So if you raise the gaze gently to the point between the eyebrows, it'll raise that energy. So always check your eyes and your gaze during your meditation, your practice, and always adjust it if you need to. So we'll do, remember pranayama? We'll do those breathing exercises just 3 times. We'll breathe in through the nose, double inhalation, then tense the whole body. And then on exhalation, double exhalation through the mouth, and release the tension in the body. We really need to hear it, otherwise you're not getting the full benefit of this practice. And we'll do it in conjunction together so that it's together. We'll do it 3 times. And then on the 3rd time, once you've exhaled for the 3rd time, double exhalation, just let the breath stay out until by itself, of its own will, its own accord, it goes in and you inhale. And then you're just going to inhale and exhale through your nose naturally. When the breath comes in naturally, you chant mentally so. And if it stops for a minute, fine. And then when it finally wants to go out by itself, hum. Inhaling so, hum. So, hum. I am he, I am he. With every breath, you're affirming that truth mentally. So let's do the pranayama, the breathing, and then just remember that all that energy is not going into the spine and up the spine. Keep your attention at the point between the eyebrows, and we'll, after that 3rd time, just become aware of the breathing and so on. Okay, so we'll start with the inhaling and tense the body. Here we go. Inhale, hold, exhale. Release all that tension. Inhale again, tense the body. Hold, tension, exhale. Release all that tension. One more time, inhale. Tense the body. Hold, exhale. Releasing all that tension, and I'll just let the breath be and observe it one by itself. It goes in by itself. Just chant mentally. So, outward, so. peaceful. Yeah, it's a very powerful meditation technique because it's scientific. It really works on all of the different levels that are subtle and the energy. So you really do feel, and sometimes you feel it in your spine, you feel that energy. And you might even feel it going up the spine a little bit too. It's the deeper and deeper you go, the more. So you can do that anytime. Don't just do it here, hopefully.
Is there a certain amount of time you should be doing it? Or?
You can do it for as long as you want to. Some people do it for half an hour. There's really no minimum. The more you do it, they say, more sugar you put in water, the sweeter it is.
Yeah.
So with I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. With the initial breaths, it's always just 3 times.
You can do it more if you want to. 3 is a good time number because you don't want to do too much breathing in and out, because then you get yourself a little bit too hyped up a little bit. So it's 3 times as works, but you can you can adjust it according to your own body. Sometimes you can be really, really stressed out and you really need to have more. But 3 is a good time, a good happy medium. You don't want to focus too much on too deep breathing because it'll unbalance you too. You just want to do it just enough. Because what will happen is then when you get into this, it becomes really subtler and subtler breathing. And the energies, you actually become refined. You refine all of your your feeling of it. You actually can feel, and Swamiji used to talk about, he felt the Idam Pingala energy on either side of the spine too, and then the Shushumna. So there's there's different experiences. The main thing is that, the profound peace and stillness is really a blessing. And then you can use any other, like I said, if you have a mantra, you can use that, or sometimes people just want to really just focus on the point between the eyebrows and experience our heart or their heart center. Depends on where you're at. Are there any other questions about the technique or what to do or what you experienced? Anything you want to say about what you experienced or anything?
It's wonderful.
Yeah, you like
Yeah,
it?
I've done it a few times at home as well, since you taught us 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago even, and it's really right, it is very helpful.
Yeah, it's a wonderful technique. And again, that's not, faith, that sometimes you need that just to cut out the frenetic situation. But the truth of the matter is the more you can let go, and it's, this trusting, whether it's a version of Ma or Thakur or something like a guru, and this is a beautiful technique of letting go because you're not in control of your breath, you're just watching it and you're just observer. And so it's a beautiful surrender, and then you feel that sense of peace. And it just, you look at things differently then a little bit, You start to feel the profound peace and joy of this versus whatever the other stuff gives you, Like, and of course, it doesn't mean that we should be careless, but, that's why Thakur always said too, like the woman who does the job, was it the pounding machine where she put her hands. You have to pay attention to the world too and do the best you can. But seeing it as a God, the service is the seva, or as worship, even better. Worshiping God in all the things you're doing, but with total unattachment, Okay, Ma doesn't want it done, then it's okay. It can be done differently. Okay, so now we can chat around Krishna Shakti, and then we can call it a day. Next week I will be here on Easter Sunday. I have to be in California, so this coming Sunday, I don't know if any of you will be here. We will be here by ourselves. That's fine. Oops, I'm
Depends on.
Oh, that's so funny.
You're really relaxed, that's all.
Relax, the chanting works.
I'm not getting the song to
Krishna Sharana Ram Krishna Sharanam.
There you go.
You want me to play?
That's not it.
No. Let me see.
Oh, why is it so strange? Yeah, but I played in a different key. I'll get it. I'll get it.
That's it. Start
You're
with
playing
the
it. Oops.
Salma.
How can I not? How can I not?
Raise
play
your
this?
high enough.
No. That's often. Ram Krishna Sharanam. Ram Krishna Sharanam. Ram Krishna
That part is easy. Why am I? I have a good luck. See, just sing it. Ramakrishna Sharanam. Yeah, that part we have. Ramakrishna Sharanam.
Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam,
Ramakrishna Sharanam. Ramakrishna Sharanam. Ramakrishna Sharanam. Sharanam. Krishna Sharanam. Ramakrishna Sharanam. Ramakrishna Sharanam. Sharanam. Kripani Kevalam, Kripani Kevalam, Kripani Kevalam, Sharanye. Kripani Kevalam, Kripani Kevalam, Kripani Kevalam, Sharanye. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanye. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam. Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam. Sharanam Gaituham, Sharanam Gaituham, Sharanam Gaituham, Bhave. Sharanam Gaituham, Sharanam Gaituham, Sharanam Gaituham, Bhave. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam. Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam, Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo. Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam. Prabhu Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharanam. Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Jaya Jaya Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam,
you forgot Namashi Gurube. You were too meditative.
Mhm. Yeah, it was wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Yeah, I think it was too close to Hare Krishna Hare Ram. We were so much into Ram today, it just wiped out everything and just the incarnation of Ram. So thank you all very much. And next week we'll be here at 4 o'clock. We'll do puja. 5 o'clock we'll do talk, and we can also do some reading of the gospel next week because we probably won't have so many people. We'll probably do something like that as well. Okay, to break it up a bit. Right. Thank you all. We'll see you next Sunday. And Easter I won't be here for Easter. So just so you know. Okay. Thank you so much.